Hey, so one question that we've been seeing a lot of is what kind of truck should I get to tow my Brinkley? Well, in short, any truck that is 1 ton, a 350, 3500 series truck that is a Ford, Chevy, GMC, or Dodge, that'll easily get the job done. Will a 2500 series, 250 series, a 3/4 ton truck work? Maybe it's going to depend on a lot of factors. Will an F-150 work? That will definitely not work. So let's deep dive into what kind of truck you should get to tow your Brinkley. Hey everyone, it's Kevin with Interstate Explorers, and in today's video we're going to talk all about truck selection. We're going to talk about the importance of choosing the right tow vehicle. We're going to be talking about some comparisons between the 4 major truck companies. We're also going to be talking about the difference between a 2500 truck series and a 3500 series truck, also 3/4 ton versus 1 ton truck. We're going to talk about the difference between diesel engines and gas engines, and make sure you stick around until the very end where we talk about some ways to save money on the purchase of your tow vehicle.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about in this video is why selecting the proper tow vehicle is very important. Selecting a tow vehicle that is not capable of safely handling whatever you're trying to tow puts you and every other driver at risk while you are on the road. Furthermore, if you get into an accident, you could be liable should it be proven that your tow vehicle was not safely towing. From our own personal experience, our old tow vehicle and trailer setup was not safe, and it almost caused a few accidents. Please do your own research, and when deciding between trucks, we highly recommend to get too much truck because, in my opinion, your personal safety is priceless, and I am happy to pay more to ensure that I am safely towing. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into our second segment on this video, which is going to be on some towing metrics and some trailer metrics. Now, in this video, we're going to keep things simple, and we're not really going to worry about all of the towing metrics. It is important that you educate yourself, though, about the towing metrics, so we created another video, and we're going to link that in the description, so make sure that you check that out to make sure you understand all of the towing metrics. So, that being said, we're only going to focus on 2 towing metrics, and then we're going to focus on some trailer metrics, too. So, the first towing metric is going to be something called towing capacity, and this one is actually fairly straightforward. This is just basically what your truck can tow. So, there's going to be a weight, and you just want to make sure that whatever you're towing is underneath that weight. The second metric is payload. What payload is, there's going to be a weight, and you want to keep the weight of all of your cargo, all of the passengers, and something called hitch weight. You want to keep that underneath whatever your payload is. The next thing we're going to talk about is some of the trailer metrics, and we're going to pull these from Brinkley's website. Okay, so now if we go to Brinkley's website and we scroll down, we're going to have some metrics right here. The first one that we have is the unloaded vehicle weight, and this is sometimes referred to as dry weight, and this is what your Brinkley is going to weigh at its lightest stage. This is when you have nothing inside of it and no fluids. So this is what's going to weigh 11,923 pounds. The next one is, we're actually going to go to this last one, which is GVWR weight, which is gross vehicle weight rating weight, and this is the maximum that your Brinkley should weigh. So this means that you can load up your Brinkley until you get to this weight right here, 14,995 pounds. You should not load more than that weight into your Brinkley, or else you'll be overloaded and you could put yourself in a dangerous situation if that happens. The final metric, the one here in the middle, is hitch weight. And what's going to happen is when you hitch your Brinkley into your truck, it's going to exert 2,142 pounds into that truck, and this is going to take away from the payload of the truck. Okay, we're going to move on to our third segment of this video, which is truck comparisons. So what I've done is I've created this simple spreadsheet, and this is linked in the description, so you can take a look at this spreadsheet, and you can edit this spreadsheet as well so it matches what your situation and the trucks that you're looking at are. So what I've done is I've listed trucks from the 4 major truck companies. I've listed Ford trucks, GMC trucks, Dodge trucks, and Chevy trucks. And with each company, I've listed the 3/4 ton option in both gas and diesel, and then I've listed the 1 ton truck option in both gas and diesel as well. And just for fun at the top, I've listed a Ford F-150 so we can see exactly what that vehicle can or cannot tow, is what I should say. At the top, I've listed some towing metrics. I've listed towing capacity. I've listed available towing capacity, which is essentially whatever your towing capacity is minus the max weight of our Brinkley, which remember is 14,995 pounds. I've listed the payload of the truck, and then I've listed the available payload, which is calculated by taking the Brinkley hitch weight of 2,142 pounds and adding the weight of the driver, the weight of all the passengers, the weight of any cargo that's in the truck, and the hitch that's in the truck bed. And you take that number and you subtract it from the payload, and that's your available payload. So now if you're looking at this spreadsheet is not exactly 100% accurate. And the reason it's not 100% accurate is because there are a lot of different versions of each type of truck, and each version is going to be slightly different than what's listed on here. To list every single version of every single truck would probably take me well over 100 cells, so I just really try to simplify it. So make sure that when you're doing your research for trucks that you are considering the one that you are actually going to be buying. And actually, even more importantly and more accurately, you need to check something called the door jamb sticker, because that's going to have the most accurate information about what your truck can tow. As far as payload goes, it's kind of the same thing. These manufacturers' websites will list something called max payload. And for example, if we take the GMC 3500, which is a truck that I have, the max payload is 4,185 pounds, but actually, in fact, what's listed on the door jamb sticker is 403 pounds less. And the reason why it's 403 pounds less is because of something called trim weight. So I'm going to put 403 pounds in here. And as you can see, our available payload has gone down quite a bit now, and some of our trucks are even in the negative numbers now. And what trim weight is trim weight is basically all the bells and whistles that are going to be included or maybe not included on your truck, depending on the type of truck that you get. So, for example, if your truck has steps that you can step up onto to get into the truck, that's going to add additional weight on there. If it's got power seats, that's going to add additional weight on there. And all that stuff that our truck has that like the base level truck doesn't have, that adds up to 403 pounds, which takes away, remember, from our payload here. So, like I said, do your research, check your door jamb sticker, and don't just blindly trust what's on the manufacturer's website, because remember, their job is to sell you trucks, and if they're going to inflate their numbers a little bit to do so, and that sells some more trucks, they will do that. Okay, so let's talk about the F-150 for a minute here. The F-150 is probably this country's most popular truck, and it's a good truck for what it is, but in terms of towing a fifth wheel or towing a Brinkley, this truck is just simply not going to get it done. So if you're considering an F-150, I'm going to highly recommend that you don't do that. And this is the reason why. Because our towing capacity is 14,000 pounds, and our dry weight for the Brinkley is under that. So if you don't load your Brinkley up all the way, could you theoretically tow it? I suppose you could. And then for the payload capacity of 3,315 pounds, this is going to leave you after your hitch weight of under 1,000 pounds left. So depending on how much you weigh and your passengers and your cargo and the hitch and how much your trim is going to weigh, it's going to be really cutting it close, if not violating the payload. Now, one thing I said about the manufacturer's website, this really holds true for the F-150. So if we go to Ford's website, and if we just take a look at some of these F-150s here, we're going to see a huge variance in what they can do. So the one that I had listed was a 3.5 liter with EcoBoost V6 engine, and our maximum towing, as advertised, is 14,000 pounds, but there is an asterisk there. It says with available max trailer tow package. That's the maximum it can do, but you have to have this tow package to get there. If we look at this 3.3 liter engine, then our max towing is like almost half of that, 8,000 pounds. That is not going to get it done. This 2.71 is 10,000 pounds, still not going to get it done. This 5-liter engine, that's 13,000, but again, you need your max trailer tow package on that. If we go down here to this full hybrid engine, 12,000 pounds, it's not going to get that one done. The 3.5, same thing, that's about half of it. And then our last one, this high output supercharged one, is 8,000 pounds. So just by clicking this and just doing a few clicks on just this Ford website here, we can see a huge variance. So just because I've listed 14,000 pounds doesn't mean all F-150s do. And actually, I picked this one as the strongest F-150 I can find. And even at the peak of F-150s, it's still under 1,000 pounds for the towing capacity. It's still likely going to be violating payload once you fit in all of those numbers there. So what you're really going to want to do, and this is going to take us to our next segment of this video, is you're going to want to get a 3/4 ton truck or ideally a 1-ton truck. And we're going to talk about the differences between those two. The main difference here that I really want you to take a look at is the payload. Most of these trucks have enough towing capacity to tow a Brinkley, but what they're not going to have necessarily is the payload. And if we take a look, for example, at this Chevy gas truck, we've only got 47 pounds of payload left. So if you weigh more than 150 pounds, if you have more passengers than just these two, or if you're going to put more stuff in your truck, then this 47, I mean, that's a very small margin for error as well. Some of these numbers are even in negative. So this Dodge 2500, this is negative. So you would be overloaded and you would be breaking the law if you did that. So just make sure that if you're going to get a 3/4 ton truck, most of these trucks are going to be pretty close to overloaded. So you just need to be really careful with how much you weigh, how much your passengers weigh, how much cargo's in the truck. And then another important thing to factor in as well is with this particular model of Brinkley, they have this stackable washer dryer prep, and this is right over the hitch and the bed of the truck. So if you have a washer dryer in there like we do, this is only going to increase the hitch weight because it's going to be putting more force into the truck as well. So we highly recommend getting a 1-ton truck because of this, because there's just so much more available payload on this. There's more margin for error, and you don't have to stress out as much. And that brings us to our next point of the video, which is the difference between a gas and a diesel engine. Now, I've towed with both gas and diesel engines, and my preference is a diesel engine, but there are definitely pros and cons to each one. So a pro to a diesel engine is that it's more fuel efficient, and they're more fuel efficient because they extract more energy from each gallon of fuel, which is going to mean better gas mileage. The next one is torque. And diesel engines produce higher torque at lower RPMs, which make them better suited for heavy-duty applications like towing a Brinkley. Another pro of a diesel engine is durability, because diesel engines are built to withstand higher levels of stress and are going to have a much longer lifespan. We've all heard that gas engines last about 100,000 miles. Well, a diesel engine, I've heard, can last 400 to 500,000 miles. This is, of course, assuming that they're not towing. So if they're towing, I've heard anywhere from 200 to 300,000, but that's still way better than a gas engine. And then our last pro for a diesel engine is that they're better for long distances. And this is why those truck companies, they all have diesel engines, because they're just better for going longer distances. Now, some negatives to a diesel engine, and these are going to be pros for the gas engines, is that diesel engines are loud, and a gas engine is going to be much softer. It's going to cause a lot less vibration as well. Another con to a diesel engine is that they cost more. And if you put a diesel engine in your truck, it's pretty much going to bring the price up about $10,000. So more expensive for that. The next con is fuel availability. As we know, diesel is not available at every single gas station. And even the gas stations that do have diesel, there's only going to be a few pumps that do. So you might have to wait a little bit if all the diesel pumps are taken up. You're also going to need something called DEF, which stands for diesel exhaust fluid. And most gas stations are going to sell this, and DEF is relatively inexpensive, and you don't have to buy it all the time, but they can be expensive depending on where you are. So for example, if you buy DEF at Costco, it's about $12, pretty affordable. But we've seen that exact same container at like a gas station in the middle of nowhere, and we've seen that for like $40 or $50, which is kind of outrageous when you think about it. All right, and if you stuck around for this part of the video, we're going to talk about how to save some money on your truck purchase. The first thing that you could do is you can get a lower trim package. When we were shopping around for Fords and GMCs and Dodges and Chevys and we were test driving them, what the dealer told us is that basically all of the engines within these trucks are going to be the same, but it's just kind of what kind of bells and whistles are you going to want? So if we take a look at this website, the MSRP for this truck is anywhere from $37,200 to $82,200, which is a huge range. And if you're okay with cloth seats and manual windows and just not all those bells and whistles, then you can get a powerful truck for a pretty low price. Another thing that you can consider to lower your price is by getting a gas engine over a diesel engine. We prefer the diesel engine, and we like that it's more fuel efficient, but gas engines are cheaper, and they will make your truck about $10,000 less. Now, on the other hand, you can consider getting a used diesel engine truck, because remember that a diesel engine is going to last longer. So even if you get a diesel engine with 100,000 miles on it, it's still going to have a lot of life left on it. And then the last one is you can consider doing a lease, because this is a tow vehicle after all, and towing is going to wear down your engine, it's going to wear down your truck, and a lease might be the way to go. So after 3 or 4 years, you can just be done with it.
So our thoughts are, when selecting a tow vehicle to tow your Brinkley, we would suggest getting a 1-ton diesel engine truck. If that's too expensive, consider a 1-ton gas engine truck. If that's still too much and you need to go the 3/4 ton truck route, please just do your research and make sure that you are actually towing safely with that, because in most situations it's going to be close. And if you're going to be towing with an F-150, don't. So make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, keep exploring.